Once again, welcome back to Plot. Okay, right. Good afternoon, everybody. Once again, welcome back to Plot. Great start last week. I'm going to get a little video up online, letting everybody know where I've been for the last 7 months. Well, it's absolutely fantastic today. It's a bit breezy, but that'll come down and get cracking down here first. I've got a couple of bits and pieces to do before we go up to the Plot this afternoon. We managed to get, if you've been watching my Facebook page, we managed to get one of the tunnels covered the weekend with some great help from some of the neighbours, some of the family, and some of the local plotters up their garden. What about 6-7 hands, and we managed to get the 40-foot tunnel at the bottom covered. We've got the skin on, got some canes and some lats around the sides just to hold it down, and then I went round yesterday cutting out the door frames and the wings. I've just got the back end to do, but that's at least that's one of the tunnels done, and it means I can start shipping some of the plants out of the warm greenhouse, which they need to be out now. I know it's only April, but some of the bedding plants have been potting off. The likes of Rudbeckia and that. I've still got trayfuls of pansies and trayfuls of petunias to do yet. I've just finished the lobelia, thousands of lobelia. Excuse me, but that's why I needed tunnels. I needed tunnels because that's where all my room is. Get all my benches set up, and it can be nice and cold in there. Or cool, I should say, not cold. Right, okay, so I'm going to crack on. If you remember last week, we got on about the tomatoes. There's been loads of comments online about when to sow, how to sow. As I said last week, tomatoes are one of the easiest things to grow. It can be a bit fickle if you don't look after them properly. And I'll give you 2 or 3 good tips to start with when you're sowing your seed. I will sow them this afternoon. I've got a few more Shirleys to put in. These are the Shirley, and if you remember, I showed you last week and I says I always like to make sure my set of true leaves, the first set of true leaves are out. Now a lot of people will be saying they're massive, they're far too big to be potting on. No way. That's the way I like to pot my tomatoes on every year without fail, and don't let them get too big. The secret of here is having a good compost, a really good compost, and your seeds will not suffer in the compost. They're only 4 weeks old, so they're growing really strong. But now is the time to pot them off. As I say, why I leave them so long is I like to say a good little root ball on the bottom of me plant before I even shift it. So the first thing I do before I start shifting them is the night before, give it a good soak, sit it in a tray, water from underneath, and let them take up as much water as they want, and then stand them, let them drain off, and then next morning compost should be nice and moist, and then you can start taking them out, and you're not doing too much damage, or you're not giving them a shock. It's a lovely day. I've got my door wide open there. When I come downstairs it was 65 in here with the door shut, and that's just a cold greenhouse. I haven't got any heat on. I've turned the heater off first thing in the morning, 8 o'clock this morning, and it was 65 in here. So the door's wide open now, and it's still just below the 65. To me, it's too hot. I don't like it any warmer than 55. 55 is fine for me. But anyway, let's crack on with these tomatoes. I'm not complaining about the sunshine. The sun always rises the temperature in your greenhouse. So we'll crack on with these. I'll put them to one side for the time being, and I'll show you the compost. I might be able to get a little bit of this in this week's video. It's my own compost. It's the 3-2-1 mix. I'll show you when we get up the Plot. It's what we make ourselves. It's what I've used for 20 years. Never had any complaints. So let's get a couple of these out first off, and I'll just show you. Oh, these are Shirley tomato. Fantastic. Don't be frightened to handle them. That's a lot of newbies wondering, and always pick them up by the seedling leaves. That's the first set of leaves there. Look at that. Look at the root ball in there. Absolutely marvellous. And I'm just holding that by the first set of the first set of seedling leaves. Now it's a sign of a really cracking good plant at is if you've got really good seedling leaves. If you haven't got the first set of leaves, then you've had a check on your plant. It's either been too cold, too wet, or something in your compost. Nice green leaves, seedling leaves, growing away really well. You should stop on the plant all the time then, and that'll ensure you that you've had no check or the plant hasn't had any disagreements with the water you're giving them or feeding or whatever. You shouldn't really feed them. I never do. The compost that I'm making up here is, as I say, it's a 3-to-1 mix, and it's got a little bit of bone meal in it. But all I do with these, I just put the plant in the bottom of the pot. You can sink it right down to the bottom if you need to. Put a 1/2 inch of compost in the bottom. Get your plant sitting right at the bottom, and then just gently pack around it with your fresh compost. There we go. And that's just sitting 1/2 inch below that bottom of the pot if you're watering from above. But I never water from above, I always water from down below. I sit them in trays and just let them soak their own water up. Now, to me, that's a first class tomato plant. It's just been potted up today. And there's the tray of tomatoes I potted up last week. Absolutely first class, lovely green colour, no marks on them, and of course, once again, there's the seedling leaves on the bottom, so they've had no check whatsoever. Now, a lot of people are going to start growing them on the windowsills. That's fine, you can start tomatoes off on your windowsill, but do remember, whichever way you're facing, your plants and your seedlings are going to grow towards the light. So every day, revolve your tray, your seed tray, or your pot, or whatever you've got your seedlings in. Just make sure it's not too warm. People starting sitting on top of radiators, that's far too hot for them. Put them on the southwest is ideal. On the windowsill, not too near the radiator. And then just rotate your pot every day, because as I say, your seedlings will grow towards the light. So each day, just turn your pot around, you'll get a nice short seedling ready for you to be pot off. And don't be in such a hurry to pot them off. As I say, I'll leave mine till I get to that stage, and they're, as I say, they're no worry whatsoever. I'm just going to ease that one out again once I show you again. There, I'm holding that by the seedling leaf. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's nice and strong. It's got a first class little root system on it. There's my pot. Got a 1/2 inch of compost in the bottom. Set them in there, so he's in the centre of the pot. Just press him in gently into the compost until he stands up, and then just go around the side of it with a handful of fresh compost. Just like that. Nothing hard, nothing difficult whatsoever. It's just some little tamp down, and there we are. First class little plant potted up. There's a couple of them done. I'll probably do a couple of dozen in about 10 minutes. I'll get this tray finished, and that's my Shirley. So what I'm going to do now, because I ordered 50 Shirley tomato seeds, because I'm using Shirley for my main crop this year. So what I did here, I sowed 25, and now I'm going to sow another 25, if I can find it, which is there. There we are, there's a Shirley there. And of course these are from Premier Seed. Nothing fancy about that. They're straightforward packets, plastic. If you're new to growing, and you go to some of the new growers, you'll get a nice packet of seed, and of course it'll give you all your information on the back of your packet. Don't be afraid to use that, they're fantastic. It gives you guidelines, when to sow, how to sow, pretty straightforward. But once you start getting up in the world and you start learning a bit more, you can dabble with your seed merchants. As I say, I use Premier Seed. There's nothing fancy about the packaging. Just come in a little bag, and there's not much information on there, but once you get to know how you're growing, it's easy enough and you can use them. So, multi-purpose compost, first off, and I always add a handful of extra sharp sand to the multi-purpose. I know that there's sand in it, but I always like mine really free draining, because mine's going to sit in trays of water, and I'm going to soak that water up just like a sponge, which is what I want. Once again, this is wetted. It's always pre-wetted before I put any seed in. A little bit of spray over the top of it first. It's got a little bit of chamomile tea in the spray, and of course the chamomile tea is going to protect the seed. I only use a half tray because all I've got is 25 seed left in here. As I say, you've got different size seed trays. Look at your seed packet. It'll give you a seed count. You don't have to use a big, massive, full-size tray for 20 or 30 seeds. You can use a small one or a half one. The reason I'm using a half one for is because exactly the same as that. I like to leave mine, I like to leave my plants in, I like to give them a good root system so they've got plenty of room in that tray. I could leave them for another week, fortnight before potting them up, and it'll still be spot on. But I like to give them a little bit more room, once again, and I'm broadcasting, that's all. Take the seeds out, put them in your hand if you need to be, nice dry hand, because seeds have a tendency to stick to wet palms. There we have it. Dry my fingers off, and just get the seed and just go along all over your tray. Sow the seed. There's about 25 there, so there we are. Once again, spray with a chamomile tea. Antibacterial properties in your chamomile tea is fantastic. Just read up online about it. I've used chamomile tea for years. I never use any chemicals. I'll give my seeds a really good soak with that first, and then all you need to do is, when I find it was over here before, put my mini Bex back on, because I'm getting as blind as a bat, as well as everything else that comes with old age. A little bit of compost in there, and just a little, very light sprinkling. Or what you can use, which is what I like to use, but unfortunately I've run out, is a little bit of perlite. I like to add a little bit of perlite to the soil. Excuse me. A little bit of perlite to the soil, and that makes it really nice and free draining. And there we have it. Easy as that. They're well covered. We've got a nice covering of moist compost on. All I need now is a marker. Pop a marker in there, because I've got about 3 different varieties of tomatoes over the back here growing. I always grow these for Roger, because Roger likes these. Once again, you can go through and you can pick the weeds out, because you will get little foreigners growing in amongst them. Not every compost is spot on. Now, another little trick. What I like to do with the tomatoes, because these, the Spanish ones, is you get thousands in a packet. So what I like to do with these, I like to go through the whole tray, and these will stop here for another week yet, before they open their second leaves. These are the Spanish plum. I grow them every year because they're nice big ones. All the tiny little ones are just popping through there. Pull them out. There's absolutely thousands there, so you're pulling out a few small ones, few little weaklings there, growing amongst them, get them out, pull them out. Let's shut the buggers. No good to me if they're not growing nice and strong like the other ones, and they're a little bit later coming through. I just pull them out, and it leaves a little bit of room for the other ones just to grow on. There's ones they just opening the first set of leaves up. I just pull them out. But there really is plenty in there. The little smaller ones that are just taking their time coming through, and just keep pulling them out. And the weeds, and they are. That's great. That all the rest of them are really nice sized ones, and it gives them a little bit more room to grow on there. They'll be fine in about a fortnight's time. Week to fortnight, I'll be potting them up. That's near the Spanish plum. Absolutely marvellous. Now I have got another packet of seeds to sow, which I told you last week. I've got the Ailsa Craig. I've still got them to sow. I will never sow them in the middle of April, because ideally they don't want to go outside until the middle to the end of June. Middle to the end of May, sorry. That gives them 6 weeks actually in your greenhouse, which is stacks of time. A week for them to come through, 2 weeks for them to put on a bit of weight to get to that size. Pot them on another fortnight to 3 weeks to get a really strong little plant. These will probably get potted off again from there. They're just convenient little pots that I use all the time. Now, that'll grow away in about a week's time. Now, these are the ones I potted up last week. These are the money maker, and already these need a bigger pot. So what I'll do with them, I'll take them up the plot today, and I've got a little bit of heat on in one of the glass greenhouses. I'll show you when we get up there. I've got a little bit of heat on there, so what I'll do is I'll pot them up into a bigger pot, and they'll sit in that pot now for another 4 weeks, and that'll take right up until the first week in May, when we'll like to start planting these out into the polytunnels. That's provided we've got to take these out. If we haven't got to take these out by then, which I'll show you once again up there, there's spring cabbage in one of the polytunnels, which is now covered, so we'll start cropping them in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully that polytunnel will be ready. If not, we can put them up into a bigger pot again and just sit them on the benches, and they can sit there quite happy for another couple of weeks until we're ready to put them out in the open ground. Money maker, another first class tomato. I grow it every year. So they're ready to go on. I've got my giant orange, which I only grow about half a dozen of them. It's got a little bit tip burn on there. It's been caught with some of the water, but they're strong little plants. I think I've only got about a dozen of them, but I'm quite happy with that. Once again, that's a money maker. That's a beautiful, strong little plants, and really tomatoes are going first class this year. I can't complain. They're really romping away. But that's just a few tips on potting off. Don't be in too much of a hurry to pot them up. You know, you can wait. Let them put on a bit of beef. Let them get a little bit of root system going, and then you'll have no trouble potting them off whatsoever. And then, of course, full light. That's what they need now. Water from down below if you can. Just get an old tray. If you haven't got a tray without any holes in, it's easy enough to make one. Get a seed tray. I'll pop them down. That's just an ordinary seed tray with holes in it. With holes in the bottom. A little bit of polythene over the top. A newspaper in there. Old newspaper. Fantastic. Get your water inside of there and stand your pots or your trays up there and give them a good soak. And your newspaper just acts like blotting paper. It'll hold the water for you. But you sit your pots in there, you can keep your pots in there all the time, and they'll just water from down below, and they'll grow first class. You've got no trouble with getting them overwatered. Tomatoes are really fickle for that. Cucumbers are even worse. I've just started potting some of these up this morning. These are Telegraph. First class little plants, them. Lovely little cucumbers. I'm over the moon with them. Well, they're the Socrates, sorry. That's the Socrates, yep. And these are the Telegraph. I've just potted them up about half an hour ago. Really first class little plants. I've got the cucumber stuck in here. As I say, it's not too warm. I don't like to have it too hot in here. I just like to let it plod on and get a nice temperature. Of an evening, it's keeping it really to about 50, 55 in night time, just with that little heater on. No hotter than that. Then through the day, I'll open the door, let the fresh air in. As I say, the wind's blowing through here now, and that's what I like. And the temperature's still 60, so plenty of fresh air, plenty of air movement in your greenhouse, and it just stops everything from going stale. But chamomile tea, that's one of the main things to stop any fungi or, as I say, any diseases starting. I just spray with them, and once them tomatoes come through, they'll get another couple of sprays, couple of weeks, and just keep spraying them until I pot them up. And then, like I say, once I start giving them their first watering, they're fine. They'll grow away, no problem. But that's the tomatoes and the cucumbers. You want to get yourself a plot. I'll show you the tunnel. We're just about half finished. We've got the first covering on. So what I'm hoping to do is get that finished this weekend, and then I can start stripping the second polytunnel. There's a load of timbers along the bottom are rotten. They've been up for 15 years, can't complain. So I'm going to renew the barge boards right along the bottom, pull all them out, add the new boards in, put the new net on, and then we'll think about taking the old cover off, send away, maybe it's next week for a new cover. I'm looking at northern polytunnels, but I've used old plastic for years. They're quite good them, so I might just stick to them. I know it's going to cost around about the 150, 160 mark for the tunnel, but if you get 5 years out of it, really, it's nothing. By the time you break it down into weeks, it only works out with coppers. So I'm saving me coppers for the next couple of weeks up, and then we'll get a new tunnel, and then we're going to have to decide what we're going to do with a 100-foot greenhouse, because there's some serious damage being done to that. The props and that were along the sides, they're all snapped. So we're going to have to think of taking it down, putting new tubes, new roof on, new design, but that's going not until September time. We're going to get another crop out of it this year, and then we're going to strip it down and rebuild a new one, and hopefully we'll make a video on that. We'll show you exactly how we go about it, how we build our polytunnels. Cheapest chips if you can do it yourself. All you're paying for is the hoops in the polythene. If you know any stagers, you can get staging boards from old clips, not fantastic, you know. Often see them on eBay or buy them, and you can make a great structure for half the price. No problem, just, you know, a bit of savvy and a bit of hard work, and you can build some canny structures yourself. Anyway, I'm finished down here for the time being. I'm just going to crack on with these tomatoes, get a few more potted up, and get them up the plot, and then I'll see you up there. I'll give us a quick look around, and I might be able to add in what we're going to do with the compost this year. Okay, I'll show you how I make me mix up. Okay, right, good afternoon everybody. Oh, finally managed to make it up. I never got up the same day because the weather turned bad. It got windy, and of course I don't like to be up when it's too bad. Anyway, I've gotten up today. I've started on a bit of potting off, and of course I'm in the lower tunnel. We managed to get this done. We managed to get this covered last weekend. The only thing I've got to finish is the bottom end there, but that's not too bad. I can get that sorted maybe tomorrow afternoon. I'm just getting a little bit of potting off this afternoon because Roger's away to Spain this morning, so I'm working up here single-handed. But it's lovely up here. There's a little bit of sunshine. The wind's cold, but I'm in the tunnel, so it's not so bad. One of my main jobs to get done today, it's all about potting off and potting on, and just keeping your plants healthy. Now this is once again, it's my own potting mix, and these are some of the chrysanthemums, the first cuttings I took in late January, early February. We've got them rooted off into the pots, and of course today I'm just shifting them up. Lovely little root ball on there, first class. I'm just shifting them up into nice, bigger pots, not too big, next size up, which is always what I say is when you're potting on plants, don't go from a small pot to a massive pot, because the simple fact is the amount of soil that's in that pot is going to be cold. It takes a lot longer to warm up, and you're pouring cold water on, and that amount of soil is going to stay damp for a long time. So it's got a massive effect on your young plants. So whenever you're potting off, trying to go up a step at a time, and that's where I like to do it. This will be the last potting off. They'll go into there, and they'll stop in there till middle of May, and I can decide what I want to do. Whether I want to put them in the garden, I want to put some of them in the next tunnel. I'm going to plant about 4 or 5 in the next tunnel for some early flowers, and then I'll plant the rest in the garden, just in a couple of rows in the garden. But these, I'll probably be stopping these next week. I'll let them get picked up first in their pots, and then what I'll do is I'll nip the buds out. I've done them ones last week. That was the first ones over the far end here. I'll just move the camera around so you can see them. If I can twist it, it's getting there. It's getting a little bit cranky. This just like me. That's a lot better now. They were the ones I potted off last week, and they're absolutely romped away. Now I've already stopped them ones. I nipped the growing tips out of them, so they're fine. They're sitting there, and out of them ones, the ones I'll pick for to go in the tunnel. I'll get a nice plant with some nice branches on, and I'll plant them ones out in the tunnel, and it should be okay. Right, so that's my as I say, that's my job for the day. It's quite an easy job to do. There's a couple I've already potted up, and of course this one's caught here. Lovely chrysanthemums, first class. And so once I pot them up, they're a little bit on the dry side at the moment, but I'm not bothered. The pots that I took them out of are a little bit damp because I gave them a good watering last night. So once I put them in these pots, I don't water them. I just leave them, let them dry out a bit. Chrysanthemums, they don't like to be too overwatered. They like to stay dry in the pots, and when they are dry, then give them a good watering. Excuse me. And of course the compost is what I explained. This is our compost here, black gold. Now this is a 3-2-1 mixture, and what we'll do, we'll take 3 parts out of mug bins. I'll probably nip up and I'll show you the mug bins. We've got them all over the garden, and we're like empty ours every 18 months. And what we'll get out of this is a nice black rich compost. And all I have to do is just shove through what I like to use is not a sieve. I like to use a bread tray, and you can just rough it up through the bread tray and get all the heavy stuff out, which goes back into your next mug bin. And what comes out the bottom, the black gold, beautiful. I like to dry it out for a few days, just in put it in bags and put it in the greenhouse, let it dry out for a few days, and then I make the mix up. We've got a big, if you've watched some of my videos in the past, we've got a big cement mixer next door, and that's where my mixes come up. But actually I'll be making one tomorrow, and what we'll do, we'll put 3 full bagfuls of our own compost out of the muck bins, sieved, dried out, 2 bags of multi-purpose compost, a bag of sharp sand, nice and sharp, and a few handfuls of bone meal or blood fishing bone, and that's it. And it's a first class mixture. As I say, we've used it for 20 years now, and never had any complaints. Everything grows in it. Sometimes I even use it for sowing seeds in, like the dahlias, marigolds and that, when they're big seeds, as I explained in my last video. And you get a load of weeds growing up. I'll probably show you when I start potting them off. You'll get a load of weeds growing, but once you know your weeds from your seeds, it's quite easy just to go through the trays and pick them out. Now I showed you the onions the other week, and that's them already since they've been potted up into a bit of fresh compost, and they're absolutely thriving. Nice young plants. I don't want any for shows or anything, so I haven't been in any hurry this year. As I say, if you want to grow some really good onions for the shows, and then have a look on Nick's break on the plot. He's often commenting, and he's often putting a load of photographs on. Get in contact with him, and I'm sure he'll give you all the tips you need. But he grows his under lights, heat and lights, whereas me, I just started them off in a cool greenhouse end of January, and that's the result. Now they'll not be planted out until the middle of May, so we've got at least another 5 weeks yet, and by 5 weeks time that pot will be full of root, and you'll have a first class plant ready to go out. Like I say, it's fickle up north here. I never like to plant anything out until the middle of May. We've only just put our outside tatties in. Normally I hold back till Easter, but with Roger going away this week, he says no, I shall put them in. So he put them in yesterday. There's 4 rows of outside potatoes, the ones inside in the tunnel absolutely romping away. But, that's my onions done. All I'm needing now is a bit of spraying. What I'm going to do next week, I'm going to make a garlic spray up, and I like to spray everything as I'm potting off. I'll make a garlic spray up because it's starting to warm up in the polytunnels now. We're getting a little bit of heat, and of course you're going to get your bugs coming out, and you get your flies, you get your small caterpillars and that. That's why I like to spray early, because you'll always get stuff into the greenhouse, so you bring it in on plants, or it's been overwintering in the crevices and that. Of course, once the weather warms up, they start creeping out, so that's why I like to be prepared. I've got the bags of muck here already. As I said, we've had spring cabbage in this polytunnel. I'm just gonna pull one up. Now, on one of our composts. Oh, there we are. There's a first class little spring cabbage. That's my first one this year. We'll learn about the compost when we start stripping down the plants and that. As I say, a lot of this cabbage, a lot of the bottom leaves will come off, and they'll go in a bin. They'll just, what we'll do, put them in a plastic bag in here when we have a lot coming off, because as I say, you don't use them bottom leaves. A lot of the lads giving the chickens up here, but if there's nobody on the plot, and mine go in a bag ready. That's first class. That's for Sunday dinner tomorrow. I've got a few comfort dinners, so it's a lovely spring cabbage. There's a root ball there. Now don't be sir. I've seen people weeding and they beat the hell out of the roots of the the weeds and that, and your cabbage and that. Always leave a good bit of soil on them. Simple reason, you've got your bacteria. You've got thousands and thousands, millions of bacteria in your soil. Some is good, some is bad, but you're getting a mixture of both. So I like to leave a good bit of soil on there, and that goes back into the muck bins, and of course it's breeding. It's fermenting in your bins. It's giving you, with your worms and that, your bacteria. It's actually breaking down all the greens or the browns that you put in there. Now I'll do a mixture of everything. I never turn my bins. A lot of people say you've got to keep turning your bins and turn your bins. I never turn mine. Mine are in Daleks, plastic Daleks. Once it goes in, it stops in there and it doesn't come out again for another 18 months. Any rough stuff that's amongst it, it goes in the next bin. We'll just take all the good stuff off. But always leave plenty of soil on your roots of your weeds nut when you're doing the weeding. And we'll have a full bin of that. So what we'll do a bin of manure, we'll do a bin of green, I do a bin full of from the home, what I call brown manure, which is paperwork, tea bags, fruit skins, all the vegetable peelings, everything like that. Just gets piled in a bin, and twice a week I bring that bin up from the kitchen. Now that's full, twice a week, that's just off me now, lads. So, you know, it's quite a bit of brown manure coming out of there. That gets added. And of course, every time we put a new layer on, I just wash my bin out and put a good half bin of water. So it's nice and moist, and it's warm, and it's mixed. And you just add it up, and add it up, and add it up. I'll show you a couple of bins later on that are absolutely full of worms. They've got a little bit of bread in, not too much, just a little bit of bread in. Any crusts, anything, you go and throw away into the bin, put them in your compost bin. Just break them up, a little bit of bread, any biscuits or anything like that goes in there. And be surprised what can just rot down. A lot of people say you get rats with it, but you know, if you're careful with your mug bins and just don't put too much in, keep them well covered, they should be fine. And saying that, watching Dean Roberts' video the other night, me and our last were in tears. It was absolutely fantastic. Getting a rat in his polytunnel. Well, up here we've got them all the time, and two-legged ones. But mainly because there's lads over there got pigeons, there's lads got chickens, and they're always in the allotments, and they're always in the winter. They always try and find a nice dry place to escape to. And of course, that's your sheds and that, so they're crawling underneath and they want to break through. I don't bother much with it now. You know, as long as they leave me alone, they leave me crops alone, I'm fine with them. But it can be a pest at times. And a lot of people don't like them, including Dean. But that's that. Like I say, a little bit of brown manure doesn't hurt the muck bins any. In fact, it adds it because it feeds the worms. And judging by my worms up there, they love it. So that's my secret to a good compost. Just add your layers up a little bit each time. Just keep it nice and moist, keep a lid on it, keep it nice and warm. And within 18 months, you'll have a first-class compost. You can pull out your bin, tip your whole bin out, push it through like I do a bread bin, a bread sleeve, and it gets a nice fine crumbly compost, and then you can mix it your own compost. 3-2-1 mix. I've done it for 20 years now, and never had any failures with it. I love making the mix up. But yeah, that's my first spring cabbage. Looking forward to do that tomorrow. Okay, so it's blackened over again, the sun's went down. I focused for a little bit of showers this afternoon, but I'm not going to hang around too long. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pop in next door, and we're going to have a look at the grapevines. Everything else is romping away in here. I'm pleased as punch. As I say, I'm getting a bit potting off done, and then through the week I'm going to crack on with tomatoes. Got a load of tomatoes. I've just brought a load of cucumbers up. I'll be potting them off next week, so we'll get started on that. But for the time being, we'll pop in next door, and I'll show you what's left of our big polytunnel, and we'll have a look at the grapevine. Okay, right. Well, I've only come from the lower tunnel into this tunnel, and it's black. It's actually hailstoning. There's little bits of flurry come down there, so I'm not going to be too long up here this afternoon. With strawberries on the back. Well, it's been poorly last year. I never had a time to put them in baskets. So what I did, me and Roger got a few pots together, just put them in pots and just sit up on the bench here. Once we take a load of cuttings this year, we'll do exactly what we've done for years and years, is put them in baskets and we'll hang them right along the tunnels. As I say, I'm feeling a little bit better now, like, so I'm getting my strength back, so I can hopefully plod on with the rest of the year. If you can see what early potatoes, they're absolutely fantastic. We've got 3 nice rows of the little boiling potatoes. They're the Jazzy. They're absolutely fantastic. We've grown them for about 4 years now. This is the 4th year we've used them. And so what we'll be doing, we'll not use them again next year. We'll get some fresh crops. We'll send away for some fresh potatoes, because they're looking a bit spindly at the moment, but no doubt they'll thicken up. And it all, as I say, at the end of the day, it all depends on the crop that you get. But we'll see how they go anyway. But we'll just pan that up until you can. I hope you can get a good a good view of the vine. And if you remember last year, I put this in. Now it's about 1.5 inches to 2 inches thick now, and this is only its 3rd year. I grew it first year bush, and then I planted it last year into the ground, and we got a crop of it last year. It was absolutely fantastic. But now I've got it up here, and I took the side branches off. I took 1, 2, 3 side branches, that's them there, and then I moved the leader up to the top here, and that's along there. It's gone along there 5 foot now, 6 foot along the top there. So we're going to have absolutely tons of grapes on here this year. Now, one of the main things is one of the lasses commented the other night about little crystal bugs on the stalk itself, on the canes. Well, what I normally do is just go along it and check it, because the old bark comes off pretty easily. If you get yourself a small knife, and just give it a little bit of a rub, an old nail or something like that, just poke. It doesn't do too much damage. Just poke it in, and you can pull away all them little stems. You sometimes get little bugs. Well, there's a little bit of mealy bug there that's been underneath there. Now, what I normally do is is at the end of the year, and this never got it last year. As I say, well, there's not been too grand. What I normally do is I give it a very light washing of jizz fluid, and some soapy water. It never got done, but like I say, I'm pulling all the stalks away there now. That's just ripping away from the stem. If you go up and down your stem, and any of the loose stalks, just pull them off, and you'll find that you've got little beasties, or little bugs underneath, quite easily to get shot of. Mix yourself a little bit of soapy water up, and give them a good spraying of that. Well, like you see, you can do a garlic spray. Give them a soaking garlic spray. I've got some young rhubarb coming through. You can take a couple of leaves off the young rhubarb and give them a rhubarb spray if you want. It's not going to do any harm whatsoever to the vine. It's just going to kill them bugs that's underneath the skins. And that's one of your main. I normally like to do this when the when the sap starts drying up. That's around about November time, and that's when I take my cuttings. I've got some cuttings in there that I took last year, and they're rooted. They've got little buds on them. They're lovely. So it's an easy enough plant to root grapevines. If you look on some of my past videos, I've showed you. But if you're going to start following this year, I'll take you right through the growing year with grapes. As I say, they're well down there. There's loads of buds on. We don't have to do any work on it just yet. I'll shift this bar out of the way. We don't have to do any work on it just yet, apart from just giving it a good clean up and a good scratching up. And I'll not be doing any cutting of this budding yet. We'll do all that later on throughout the summer. I'll take you right through the growing season, how we look after our vines. But for the time being, like I say, if you just go around it, old nail, bit of pencil or something like that, and just poke away, and you can get rid of all that old skin. And normally you'll find that little nice little mealy bugs or whatever they are, you're hiding under that bit of skin. Easy enough to take them off. Give them a little bit of spray, soapy water, a tad of jizz fluid. At the moment they've got buds on, so you don't want to do any damage to them. Just a little bit of soapy water will do it for the time being. If they do persist, then you can make a little bit of rhubarb juice up. I'll probably make one up in 2 or 3 weeks time, because I'll be spraying a lot of my stuff that I'm not, if I'm not going to eat it. This time of the year I'm not doing any damage whatsoever, because there's no fruit on it. Like I say, the canes, I should have done the canes a fortnight ago, because they never got sprayed, the raspberry canes. So what I might do, I might make a mix up for that. I'll cut the tops off, get them all tied back up again the way they should be, and I'll give them a good spraying, and I'll spray these at the same time. But that's the rhubarb juice. I'll make that up in probably a fortnight's time. Just a couple of little leaves in, make a light boiling. You've got to be very careful with it, because it is a poison, so just watch it. As I say, you're not going to do any harm to your plants, but you're going to kill the little beasties that's in there without using any chemicals. That's the whole idea. That's our idea anyway. If we can get away with just using what do you call it, organic methods, we will do, and we've done that for years without having to use any chemicals whatsoever. So for the time being, I'm going to crack on, because I've still got bits of potting off to do. I'm keeping my eye on that bottom polytunnel, because what I think I've had a couple of seagulls landing on the top of it. I haven't put any wires out yet. I'll put a couple of posts up tomorrow, string some wires a full length of the tunnel, some washing lines, and hopefully that'll deter the seagulls, because they've got claws. Once they land on the top, they dig their claws in, and that's your polytunnel all hold. That's what we found with this one. That's the it's still holding on. It's got 2 layers of polythene where it was all ripped through storm Arwen, and it's got a load of staging net right across that, holding that polythene down. It's dark in here. It's we're having the 2 layers and the cargo net on the top of it. But hopefully next month we'll take this off. By then we should have saved enough money up to get another cover, and then we'll get this one covered in June or May and June, around about that time anyway. It's a big job to do, you know. It's getting everything ready, it's getting everything prepared, getting it stripped off. That's a big job, and getting rid of the polythene, you know, because it's a nightmare. You cannot burn it because there's that much black smoke and rubbish comes off it. But what we'll do, we'll we'll roll it up and we'll get it taken to the tip. But that's a job for next month. I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself. I'm just taking it easy. But yeah, I've showed you around the plot. I've showed you what we're doing. A little bit of advice on the grapevine. If you haven't done anything yet, now's the time to get started on it, because it is coming into bud. And of course, what I did yesterday, I went round it and I put just a light handful of sulphate of potash, and that's all my fruits. That's strawberries, grapes, the vines, the raspberries outside. Give them a good weeding and a good handful of sulphate of potash sprinkled around the roots. That's the first feed of the year, because the vines are coming to, the canes are starting to come to life now, so they'll be wanting that first feed. I give them that now. I normally do it in the end of February, beginning of March, but as I say, I've been waiting until I get back on my feet. Now's the perfect time because the weather's warming up. All the plants outside are starting to come back to life again. The sap's starting to rise in the canes, so we'll put a bit of sulphate of potash on them, on your strawberry plants and all, and give them a lovely boost. Yeah, they're lovely little plants, first class. As I say, I never got time to put them in the baskets this year, but it's an easy enough job just to go around. And the first thing you'll notice that is the colour of them. They're beautiful, really first class, dark green. Not a sign of pests or anything on them, but never want to hold on to my laurels. It's going to get a spray next week. It's going to get a garlic spray. Even if there's nothing on them, it's a preventive. Same with the cabbages. I've got sprouts up here that I potted off. I potted them off the other day. That's me big sprouts for outside. I've got a big tray full of them up there. You'll get a light spraying of garlic, and it just keeps anything off them. It stops the munching insects on them, and hopefully that'll give the strawberries a bit of protection. Or lo and behold, there's the sunshine back out again. It's a weird weather up north here, but we'll love it. Okay, so I'm going to crack on with this potting off, and if you cannot wait for the video, you can get us on my Facebook page. It's Jeff Foreman on the plot. You know that. Get on there, sign up for it if you want. Send me a request, and we'll get you on, and you can chat with most nights of the week on the internet. Feeling that, I like to try and get a video out every week. If I can't get one out every week, it's going to be at least a week and a half to a fortnight. Just depends. At the moment we're really busy, so I'll try and keep you updated as much as I can. Okay, so I'll see you all again in a week's time, hopefully. Bye for now.